Hey guys, Mike here, the Detroit Borg, with a look at the HP Slate 7, the new 7-inch tablet here to take on the entry level of the tablet market, which includes competitors like the very good Nexus 7 and the Amazon Kindle Fire HD. Now we do have two cameras on here, so we have a front-firing camera with VGA resolution and a rear-firing camera at 3 megapixels, which gives us 720p HD video. So this front-facing camera is worse quality than the one included with the Nexus 7 as well as the Amazon Kindle Fire HD, which are 720p cameras. So we also have Beats audio, meaning that we have improved audio quality thanks to improved circuitry as well as audio programming. We do have stereo speakers here. All right, now this is available in red or gray. By the time of launch, there was only the gray version, so that's what I've purchased. Hopefully the red version does come to market. You never know with these things. They announce them and you don't always see them. So taking a look at the packaging, you can see pretty basic here. So we got our HP blue, a little tab here to cut, so let's go ahead and do that. Alright, so while I cut this, let me just talk about the specs. So this has a Cortex A9 processor, dual core, clocked at 1.6 gigahertz. And we have 1 gig of RAM, so that's pretty standard fare for lower end tablets. And this is running Android 4.1, so not 4.2 like the Nexus 7. Alright, so let's go ahead and take a look what we get. So we get a fabric pouch covering our Slate 7. It slides right out. So there it is, our Slate 7. You can see it still has its screen protector on. And you can see that sort of matte plastic back panel with that glossy chrome HP logo. You see that 3 megapixel autofocusing camera capable of recording video at 720p. And on the front we have that VGA camera. Now we're going to take a longer look at this in just a minute while we look at the rest of the contents. So underneath all this packaging, we'll find a quick start guide. Alright, so our quick start guide is pretty basic, and we're going to go through some of this. It tells you about the buttons and the features. We also have our regulatory, safety, and environmental notices, as well as a limited warranty, and the end user agreement, as well as some phone numbers to contact HP. Now in this compartment, we'll find our cables. So here we have our wall adapter. This is our USB charging wall adapter. There's a USB connection. This must be the socket. Alright, so this is our wall socket adapter. So we just snap it into place. And there you go. And you can push this button to release it. There you go. And of course we have a micro USB charging cable, as well as using this to connect to your computer for loading data. Alright, so on to the HP Slate 7. And the first thing I want to do is peel off this screen protector here, so we can get a good look at the display. Alright, so let's go and take a close look at the design of the Slate 7. So along the back you find a hard textured plastic surface which feels nice and grippable to hold. You can see there is a curve toward the edge and it flattens toward the center. So you get a nice raised edge here to pick up the tablet from a surface of a table, so you don't have to kind of get your fingers underneath to pick it up. So that's kind of a nice detail there. Now along the edge you'll actually find this stainless steel band. This is part of the stainless steel chassis. Adds some rigidity as well as a higher quality material than just a plastic design. Also along the back you'll find that 3 megapixel fixed focus lens capable of recording video at 720p. I may have said this was auto-focusing. That is not the case. It is a fixed focus lens. Here we have the HP branding, nice glossy chrome label. You find our Beats branding as well, and Slate 7. Along the side, you'll find your volume rocker here. So you can see it kind of sticks out through the edge. So it's a very nice tactile volume rocker. Up top you find the sleep wake button. Again, also sticks out quite a bit. You find these screws here which screw together the chassis. Headphone jack, your microphone, and that SD card slot, which the Nexus 7 does not have, by the way. Along the other side, you'll just find your serial number. Along the bottom, you'll find your stereo speakers with these metal grates over them, as well as a micro USB port. Now along the top, you'll find a VGA front-facing camera. Notice there is no ambient light sensor next to it. Now that VGA camera is lower grade than the Nexus 7, which does 720p. Same with the Kindle Fire HD. We also lack any of those off-screen Android controls because this is pretty much a Nexus experience, so you have the on-screen controls instead. Alright, so let's go ahead and boot this up and set it up for the first time. We're just going to tap and hold the power button at the top. So you get a little HP boot animation. Alright, so the next thing is our setup screen. So we're going to start with English United States. I'm going to log into my wireless internet. Now my next step is to log into my Google account to transfer all my account information. Alright, now it's asking for my backup and restore preferences, but I want to show you the default configuration, so I'm going to skip that for now. We're going to enable location services, and my setup is complete. Now it's installing applications and we should be able to start using our tablet. Alright, so with everything booted up, we can take a look around, but first let me just talk about this 7-inch display again. This is LCD, has a resolution of 600 by 1024, so that's good for a pixel density of 170 ppi. Now the Nexus 7 has a resolution of 800 by 1280, so that's good for 216 ppi. So this is a lower quality display than the Kindle Fire HD as well as the Nexus 7. Alright, so let's go and take a look at the user interface, and this is pretty much like the Nexus 7 interface if you go back to Android 4.1. So you have rotation on the lock screen, which matches the tablet orientation. You can also launch Google Now right from the lock screen. You can unlock the device or you can launch the camera. So if you go to Google Now, you can do something like, what's the weather like in Detroit tomorrow?
Tomorrow's forecast for Detroit is 72 degrees and partly cloudy.
Alright, so the volume isn't terribly loud, but it does sound pretty good. So you can see if we use the volume controls, you can access both the volume of the media as well as volume of the notifications. So our notification bar also includes our notifications here, which are expandable. So you can use that 2-finger gesture to open up the notifications. You also have quick access to your rotation lock and to your settings panel. We'll talk about settings a bit later. You also have your clear all, so you can clear all of your notifications. Now if you go to our app drawer, you can see that this is pretty much the basic Google software suite. So you have everything from Google Plus to the People, the Contacts app, Play Store, YouTube, Google Search, Google Talk, Settings, even the old Android Internet browser, as well as Chrome, which is the default browser. You also have the Google Calendar. So basically the entire software suite from the Nexus devices is here. The only thing they've added, HP has added, is this HP ePrint software, which allows you to access your HP printers on your home network. Now in terms of home screens, they've given us 5, and you can see they've tossed a few things on here, including this little widget for controlling your quick settings, such as Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, syncing, and your screen brightness controls. So you can control them here, just like that. I'm going to go to half brightness, which is better for video. You can also see they've tossed in the Gallery app as well as the Settings widget, or Settings app here as well. And you can move these around, or you can remove them, or you can add them to folders. And again, that is pretty much the Nexus experience. Now in our dock, they have the Gallery app, Google Play Music, the Camera app, Google Chrome, Gmail, as well as the Play Store. And of course, you can change any of these just by dragging them in and out of the bar here. And you also have your Android controls, again, very Nexus. So you have your home button, which takes you home, or you can swipe up to get to Google Now. And you also have your Recent Apps button. So again, you can launch any of your apps, or you can swipe them out of the way. Now this is the default wallpaper, the one that HP gave you. If you tap on the screen, it'll get you to your options here, so you can choose either the wallpaper from your gallery, the live wallpapers, or the wallpapers included here. So some of these are HPs, like that's the HP one, another HP one. So a lot of these are HP, and a lot of them are Google wallpapers as well. Now you basically have the Google keyboard, but they've changed some of the sound effects here, so let's go and test it out. So you can see it's kind of an annoying sound effect. Sounds like an old typewriter. Very skeuomorphic, I guess. You still have your standard controls here from your Nexus experience. So you have your voice keyboard. This is a test of the voice keyboard on my Slate 7, period. Now at the top we also have this permanent omnipresent search bar on your home screen. So it doesn't matter which home screen you're looking at. You can perform a search either on your device or on the web. So, or perform an action using Google Now. So for example, launch YouTube. So it sees the YouTube app and it's going to open the app for me. Now in terms of settings, this is also pretty much the stock experience as well, but there is one thing they've added, which is the Beats audio controller. So here you can turn it on or off, and you can change the headphone settings. So either you can have Beats on earphones, Beats in your headphones, or Beats passive. So basically these are settings suited to those type of headphones. Now in terms of the camera app, we can cycle between still, video, or panorama, so we can use the panorama utility here, again, Nexus experience. So here, this will coach you through the process of taking a panorama. But if we go to still mode here, now you can see that this does not have tap to focus, so there is no focusing here, but you can use this digital slider to zoom in. So it's basically infinity focus, so the focus you have is the focus you get. You can tap anywhere on the screen, doesn't change the exposure or anything. Basically, it's what you see is what you get, so it's a pretty basic camera. You have some settings here. So you go to settings, again, very little here. So you can change the location of storage, you can change the picture size, or you can restore it to all defaults. You can also change your white balance from auto to incandescent to daylight, fluorescent, cloudy, and basically that's it. Now if you take a photo, you can see it snaps it. Again, that Nexus experience, if you want to get to the gallery, all you have to do is swipe right or swipe left to get back. Now you can also switch between the front-facing and rear-facing camera with these little toggles which work in still or video mode. Now you can also see that the home screen also rotates for the orientation, so portrait or landscape mode, and everything changes orientation for you automatically. So again, very much a Nexus experience. Now in terms of our benchmark scores on the Antutu, you see a score of 11,017 versus 12,034 on the Nexus 7. So fairly similar results. We're running a quad-core processor clocked at 1.2 gigahertz versus a dual core clocked at 1.6 gigahertz. So they kind of balance out to give you similar overall performance. Now in terms of overall performance, this actually works pretty well. It's not 4.2, so you don't have Project Butter to smooth things out a bit. Project Butter actually increases overall screen rates of the operating system. So you don't have that, and you can tell it's not as smooth as the Nexus 7, but otherwise they pretty much keep up with each other in overall performance. Just to demonstrate overall performance, you can see on the Verge, it loads and scrolls pretty quickly, so I can pinch in and out very smoothly, so it can really keep up with even the most demanding websites. Now, in terms of the display quality, it's not as high resolution as the Nexus 7, and you can tell especially with text, so very small text does look a little crunchy on here, but of course you can pinch in and out to change that. It's not the best e-reader in the world. Certainly the Nexus 7 is going to be a little better at that to give you higher resolution text, so it's less straining on the eyes. Now in terms of screen quality, both devices are about as bright as each other. Now the Nexus 7 is a little more warm in terms of its color temperature. It looks a little more of a golden hue, while this is more of a blue hue. So this feels a little richer in terms of its color versus the HP. The HP is also a little more washed out. It's kind of hard to tell you or show you on camera, but it's a little more washed out. It's not as high contrast as the Nexus device. And you can tell if you look at the menu bars, the Android menu bars, you can see that the Nexus 7 is quite a bit richer, quite a bit darker, so it kind of looks like it blends into the bezel while the HP Slate sort of pops out. You can tell there's a big difference between the bezel and the on-screen buttons. Now the HP screen is also more reflective, so you get a lot more glare, especially outside, compared to the Nexus 7, which is kind of a deeper, darker glass, so it looks a little more controlled, although you still get glare, of course, with a glossy screen. Now in terms of these stereo speakers, we do get better depth of sound, but they're still kind of quiet, so I'd expect a little bit better with these dual speakers, specifically with movies like this. So I have my volume all the way up, and it's fairly quiet. Now I do have to say that over the headphones the sound is improved, so you get pretty strong performance over the headphones. Overall gaming performance again is very similar to the Nexus 7, so we have accelerometers and gyroscopes, so you still have all of those controls for gaming. Performance, 3D performance, very similar, very smooth. So really no complaints there in terms of how this tablet performs for gaming. Now in conclusion, the HP Slate 7 is an interesting product if there weren't already a better Android device on the market via the Nexus 7. This offers some interesting solutions here. So you do get an SD expansion slot, something the Nexus 7 does not offer, and you do get a rear-firing camera, although it's not the best camera. But you lose the quality of the front-facing camera, which I think is a little more important because your camera on your phone is probably going to be better than what this camera can provide. So you're probably going to be using that versus the camera up here. So if you want to do video conferencing, this is not the best camera to use. The Nexus 7 has a better camera. Now in terms of construction quality, I have no complaints here. I think they did a very nice job. Now I've read reviews where people are complaining about their HP Slate 7, gaps in the screen and around the edges, around the plastic bezel. I don't experience any of that. Everything looks very smooth and uniform, so I really have no complaints there. I would say if you get a unit that looks bad, then I would return it because you probably have a defective unit. Otherwise, mine looks pretty good. Now for me, the biggest issue here is that display with somewhat poor off-axis viewing angles and poor contrast level. It is a bright screen, it is a fairly colorful screen, but you're going to want a higher resolution display for a device this size because it is ideal for reading books. And if you're reading books, you want sharper text for a less fatiguing reading experience. So For me, $30 savings over the Nexus 7 doesn't really add up in this case. I think the Nexus 7 is still your best bet. But if you're an HP user and you want an HP tablet and you want an Android tablet and you want to save 30 bucks, I don't think this is a bad solution here. But I would say save those extra 30 bucks and get the Nexus 7. You get the latest software and you get impressive internal specs as well as a beautiful high-resolution display. Alright guys, so that is my review of the HP Slate 7. Thanks for watching and I'll see you again in the next video.